Hey, what's going on guys, Khraze here and welcome back to some more Outriders news and updates. So yeah, it seems that the inventory restoration is going to come up a little bit later than we initially anticipated. Now I could have sworn that it was about to happen this week, but it might happen a little bit later. So we will talk about the recent announcements in this video as well as a ton of other developer responses in there too. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. Now check out this recent announcement. It was literally posted moments ago and it's about the inventory restoration, latest news. So our player inventory database is continuing to gather the necessary data on affected profiles and our process testing is also progressing. These tasks will take some more time to complete, but we update you as soon as we have clear go live news. So essentially, reading in between the lines, it's going to take a little bit more time until the inventory restoration is going to actually happen. As I've said, I would have hoped that this would happen on Friday. Well, basically we are almost Friday now. This is real for now. We are almost on Friday. Well, tomorrow is going to be Friday. I was expecting it to drop maybe tomorrow, but judging by the looks of it, it's probably not going to happen. Not that it should happen unless they have like full 100% clear goal that it's not going to mess anything. Like, I think that the last nail in the coffin for this entire ordeal would be for the restoration process to also mess up. So this is literally something that People Can Fly cannot afford to mess up, like another screw up, and things are probably going to turn up pretty heated. But my question to you is this restoration even going to matter for you anymore? Because I can imagine quite a number of you didn't wait for the restoration and likely even started other characters and likely already reached the highest level and maybe even outgeared the ones that you got wiped in the first place. Like, I can imagine that there's a ton of people out there who leveled all of the classes in the game and got gear for pretty much all of them in the same amount of time in which People Can Fly would take to fully restore the first character, which by the way still did not happen after all of these weeks. So like, some of the comments to the thread look something like this: so not this week then, just glad I leveled and surpassed my wiped guy. You folks must have countless people leaving the game because of such failed launch, no sympathy. So yeah, I guess that there's a lot of disgruntled people over there, a lot of folks that are pissed about it. Funny enough, they are still playing the game, so that's pretty interesting. Usually it's the people that play the most that are the most vocal about it, which makes a lot of sense. Also, quite a number of people already mentioning that they have moved on to other games or are looking for other releases that are happening really soon, like Returnal. In my case, I'm looking for Returnal, which is going to launch next week on Friday, and that looks absolutely amazing. It's also made by a developer that is really good at making these types of games. Like, this would be their first third-person version of a game in that genre, like a roguelike or roguelite, whatever it is called, but it looks amazing. It's another kind of like action, combat, and a little bit of RPG in there too, and it looks amazing. So I'm gonna check that game out, which also means that a lot of other people are probably gonna do the same. Like, if you look at the Steam charts right now, it's falling a little bit. Like, the player base is essentially a third of what it used to be a month ago. Even if you compare it with just 3 or 4 days ago, yeah, you can see that there were almost 25,000 people that dropped off just in the last few days, and reason is because of all of these issues with the restoration, with them not being able to play on their mains, and most important, with them not having proper connections with other people in co-op. Right now, if you already finished the main campaign, there's only one thing remaining for you. Either you solo the expeditions or play with friends or random people, which is extremely fun. I had a ton of fun in the co-op with this game, but the problem was that it's just too bugged, it's just too buggy, and there's too many technical issues, most of which revolve around bad connections to other people, really low ping despite the fact that I'm playing literally with people next to me or people in the same region as I am, and the biggest culprit has to be the rubber banding, at least for me. Oftentimes I simply can't register hit, they register too soon or too late, especially when enemies hit me, or simply I don't sync well with other people, which means is that I don't perform as well in the multiplayer as I am in the single player. And this is pretty generalized. Most of the people, or at least the ones that I've spoken to, experience the exact same thing. So naturally the drop-off has happened quite abruptly around April 18. Now admittedly this is a single player game by excellence. It only takes like 25 hours to 30 hours to complete the main campaign and a few more days up to a week to reach CT15 and probably get like most of the good gear that you need. So essentially this is not that bad. I'm not trying to paint the game in a bad picture. I'm not trying to say that the decline is unnatural. It is completely natural, and 40,000 people almost after a month is still good for a game like this. It's just a shame that it could have been way higher if these issues did not occur in the first place. Now on the same note, I do want to talk about some other responses to like the patches and everything that's going to be happening in the near future. And of course we did have mentions of a very big update coming sometime soon. Well, there's a few more clarifications on that. Still no patch notes by the way, but some light has been shed on that. So a bigger follow-up patch is coming, as has been mentioned a few times throughout our previous mega threads. And of course we have the announcement right here that we went over in the past. It's going to contain a lot of fixes to bugs and performance improvements and other issues that exist in the game, which is likely going to include that multiplayer as well. But it will also include balancing changes. As an additional small note, we haven't forgotten your feedback on previous balance changes and are working on posts to provide more background on past changes and our overall balancing plans for the game. So yeah, yada yada, you already know about that. But the next patch will be our biggest patch to date and will address a lot of issues you're seeing. It's currently undergoing testing and I'm working through the patch notes for it, and will share news on its release when we know when it will land. So it's likely going to happen after this restoration, which is what the team is doing right now. Speaking of the restoration, here is one important detail that you might want to know if you're in this situation. Like KhrazeGaming over on Reddit, he's part of Group A, and the limit of 20 items being restored concerns him is what he mentions, and specifically about that limit of 20 previously acquired items that will be restored. So my character's inventory was pretty full and my stash had at least 75 items in it, like the situation I was explaining in yesterday's video. Getting only my legendaries plus 20 other items seems very weak, especially considering the date of acquisition may not matter. Some of the recent drops may have been very valuable, but if I had something for a long time, I probably wanted to keep it. Thoughts on that? So here's the response. You'll get the rarest back first. If you had 15 epics and 20 rares, you'll first get back 15 epics as well as 5 rares. So this means those 20 items in total they were talking about. If you had 20 plus epics, then you would be getting 20 epics back, starting with the most recently acquired ones. Even if you acquired an epic that now was 5 levels lower than your current level, you would be getting that epic back at your current level, god rolled if it was within the most recent list of 20. So again, as I've said, despite them having good control over the restoration, they can't have proper control over that, and it's pretty much impossible for them to properly restore everything back. I'm not saying that to make excuses in anyone's name, I'm just saying it to state the things how they are. This is the situation and this is what you need to prepare for. But yeah, on a final note, there's a pretty funny comment right here that I want to go over, like in response to one of the community managers. So I do not envy you, you get so much shit from people here, yet you remain civil and constructive. I for one appreciate the effort you put into this, other than the more often than not horribly rubber banding multiplayer connections. I have a gigabyte internet, I'm happy with the game and I'm really enjoying myself. And the response: thank you for the kind words of encouragement and support. Such messages, including the acknowledgement of your rubber banding issue, are more helpful than you can ever imagine, and they help me and us power on with addressing such things and improving the experience for you. So yeah, poor community managers, like, it's not their fault that the game came out in this state. Of course, it's the company's fault. They released the game, they had plenty of time to play test, to like Q&A and to iterate and improve it. We even had like the demo, which is running for over 1 month, or was running over 1 month until the game came out, so they had plenty of time to actually fix it. But I guess it's the state of games nowadays. This is it though, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.